The door is closed.
Morning. Looks like we can get to work at once. The union muscle turned up. They look rowdy. We should talk to them. I mean ungovernable. Martinez isn't exactly enthusiastic about the RCM being here. They prefer to be policed by the union. These men here, men who drink beer for breakfast, there's talk of an armed wing of the union called the Hardy Boys, who are responsible for state policing. I think it's them. I completely forgot. Sorry, I had a rough night's sleep. It's them by the looks of it. Loud and nasty, just like the manager said. One loose thread less to worry about, and one big problem to replace it. That would just escalate tensions. No captain would sign off on it. Solving one murder isn't worth a conflict between the RCM and the Debarders Union. In fact, even the death of 2 detectives might not warrant an all-out war. So let's keep a cool head, okay? One more thing before we do. We don't have to talk to them immediately. We can walk right past them, continue with our business.
Good. A power move. Purposefully concentrate on something else first. But aren't you curious to know what they have to say about the murder?
They're in no hurry to leave. They think they own the place. Anyway, I leave that choice to you. Whatever you decide is fine by me.
Just a moment. And there's no public phones nearby?
The closest phone booth is down the coast. Sorry for the inconvenience, ma'am.
It's fine, I understand. Thank you anyway. I'm glad to see you again, dear. Please don't trouble yourself about me, sweetie. I was just hoping to make a call, but the Whirling's phone line isn't working. The union office probably has a phone, but I can't really get there. Or to the phone booth down the coast. And Gary's phone is dead too. The manager was vague about it.
Why would he be vague about phone problems? This is something to look into later. Ask God, maybe.
To let the young woman who's house-sitting for us know that we may be delayed. Morel, my husband, and Gary were supposed to get back by Monday night, but they're still missing and I haven't heard from them. I was also hoping she'd heard from Morel. That's just it. This isn't like him at all. He always plans his expeditions so carefully. But you have more important things to worry about.
More important than a missing expedition? I don't know. Expeditions often lead to something interesting.
Just some field work, sweetie. Morel is a highly trained scientist. He and his assistant Gary are studying an extremely rare species of insect. But they should have returned by now. They were just going down the coast across the water lock to set a few traps. He said they'd be back on Monday. What could be keeping them?
The water lock. That was broken. Could this be it?
Oh, sweetie, it's nothing like that. Gary's as loyal as they come. I trust him with my husband's life any day. Oh my, what happened to the water lock? Well, whatever the cause, I'm thankful. To both of you. You've spared me another sleepless night.
You're welcome, ma'am.
I hate to ask, but if your investigation takes you to the other side of the coast, please do keep an eye out for my husband.
This will surely lead to a cryptozoological mystery with that extremely rare insect. Yes, some left-field scientific research is exactly what you need right now. Funk up that vanilla murder investigation.
And if you see him, let him know Lena is waiting for him here at the Whirling. He gets so tangled up in his work that he may not know the water lock's been repaired. And it's cold out there. Oh, you're such a dear. Thank you, sweetie. Oh, yes. A zoologist. A cryptozoologist, to be more precise.
It's a pseudoscience that attempts to legitimize research into mythological beasts and urban legends.
That's one opinion, yes. And people are entitled to their opinions.
My apologies, ma'am. I did not mean to undermine your hobby.
It's not a hobby, dear. It's a subfield of zoology, one specializing in animal species that are so exceedingly rare that many assume them to be extinct or even fictitious. Searching for such species called cryptids is difficult and often thankless, and frankly, many scientists are too lazy to do it. Universities these days are rarely interested in supporting real research.
She's completely internalized her husband's struggles. They are her own.
Oh dear, I'm not sure where to begin. Well, his expression is slightly grumpy, but his eyes are always bright and curious, like a small boy's. And his palms are quite coarse from all the field work, but he's quite gentle.
It's always a challenge to describe the person you know best in the world.
Oh, well, he's a bit shorter than you, but with a larger frame, and he has longish white hair, usually a bit uncombed. You might say wild, even.
The lieutenant pulls out his notebook and begins jotting down the woman's description.
One other thing, he'll likely have all kinds of field gear on him, even if he's not out in the reeds, you know, just in case. We'll be celebrating our 16th anniversary this autumn. Not the most numerically satisfying anniversary, but I like the less obvious milestones even more somehow. Via dating agency, I'm ashamed to say. I was looking to get back into the scene after recovering from my accident. And he'd just divorced. We hit it off and, well, here we are.
She's skipping over some important parts. Perhaps you'll find out more later.
I hope I've been useful. Oh, sweetie, it's fascinating. But I shouldn't bore you with entomological minutiae.
The lieutenant gives you a sideways glance.
Well, it's a phasmid, technically, but...
Ah yes, Phasmatodia, a diverse group of insects whose bodies resemble twigs, leaves, that sort of thing. Ghost insects, colloquially. Oh yeah, here comes the interesting.
Where other phasmids imitate sticks or leaves, this one's a living reed. It disguises itself among the reeds here on the Insulindian coast. Hence its name, the Insulindian phasmid. Perhaps you'll end up co-discovering the phasmid with us, officers.
I knew it. We're gonna be chasing made-up insects with cryptozoologists.
It's not made up, officer. I can assure you. It's simply elusive, so much so that most establishment zoologists doubt it exists at all. Well, some teenagers making out in the reeds saw one. They didn't know what it was, of course, but there was a brief article in a local newspaper about their encounter with a ghost insect that looks like the reeds. Gary sent us the clipping. Of course, most phasmid sightings turn out to be false alarms, but their description matched the Insulindian phasmid perfectly, and they didn't even know what they were looking at. Oh, I doubt it. No one gets into cryptozoology for the money, sweetie. Not at all. Why else would it hide itself so carefully? Yes, It can blend in almost perfectly among the reeds. It's how it stayed hidden all these years, centuries even. Oh dear, I'm afraid I'm not explaining this very well. It is very special. Morel can explain it all much better. I wish you could hear him describe it. Then you'd understand, I'm sure. I hope you were able to pawn that old trinket. Oh, thank you, dear. I confess I am glad to see it again.
Even the lieutenant seems happy with this turn of events.
Now, what else, sweetie? Hello, dear.
There's really no point in manipulating anyone. She'd be only too pleased to tell you about her work. Go on and ask.
Oh, I'd be delighted. Truth be told, I could really use the company too.
One cryptid, not a couple. One. This won't turn into some kind of cryptid extravaganza. And I don't. Just one.
Or he'll be disappointed in you. Ooh, tough choice there.
What an interesting question. And the answer is yes, there are.
Of course. All fairy tales have someone or something invisible in them.
It's the Col de Mama d'Aqua. Its name means thin whisper of sound, and that's precisely what it is. Self-replicating sound waves, invisible and intangible. The Col de Mama is very afraid of us, which makes it incredibly difficult to track.
Col de Mama d'Aqua can also be translated as a whisper light and low.
It could be. As I said, it could be everywhere. And we wouldn't know any better. It could be ringing all the days of our lives and nights. Yes, that's another translation. They're both quite lovely, aren't they? Although the low part is a little ironic. The Col de Mama d'Aqua makes, or rather is, such a high-pitched sound that other animals, including humans, can't hear it. It could be everywhere, all of the time, and we wouldn't know.
Fine, I'll bite. How can an animal be a sound?
Many scientists have asked the same question. Some have claimed that it isn't itself a sound, but a tiny corpuscle that emits sound waves. But there's no evidence to support this theory. Plenty. It's the evidence that led to its discovery. In the 1920s, a group of areopagite ornithologists, that is, scientists who study birds, were trying out a new recording technology for capturing sounds outside the range of human hearing. When playing back recordings they had made in the foothills of the Ea mountain range, they noticed certain anomalies, patterns that seemed random at first, but on closer examination were consistent with the waveforms of songbirds. The scientists soon discovered they could track and even predict what appeared to be feeding, mating, and migration patterns based on sound waves in a strictly delimited range of ultrasonic frequencies, even higher than those of the highest-pitched bat calls. They realized that they had discovered a new species and called it the Col de Mama d'Aqua, after the Paracanassian name for the voice of God, which is said to be very silent. They grew quite obsessed with these little birds. Even though they couldn't see them, they could distinguish among individual birds and even began to name some of them. Sequester, Time, Joscan, those are but some of the Mamadakwa they followed individually. That is a sad story. A group of university students assisting with the field work in their enthusiasm for the project, and no doubt because they were preoccupied with impressing their professors, nearly drove it to extinction. They tried to communicate with it and had no other means but sound. So they started sending out sound waves at frequencies they thought might match the Mamadakwas. And what happens when a sound wave meets another sound wave of the same frequency, dear?
Psst. They cancel each other out. Psst.
Exactly. And these tests were performed so recklessly that when they happened upon the right frequency, well, they wiped out most of the population.
Great regret washes over her, a wending cloth.
After that, the corpuscle appears to have migrated elsewhere. There have been recordings of anomalies similar to those spotted in Ea, but they've been few and far between. It's impossible to confirm the presence of any stable Mamadakwa population anywhere.
Of course. A common thread in these. Disappearance and unfalsifiability. I like the story, though, ma'am.
I'm glad you did, dear. What about what? Of course, dear.
Was that? Could it be the Mamadakwa? No, it's probably just your imagination ringing in your ear. There seems to be an extremely high-pitched ring. Ultrasonic. Lena said it was very high-pitched, right? It's like something tickles your ear. Lena also said that it couldn't be heard by any other animal, including humans. What you're hearing must just be a regular bird. There it is again. You're about to rediscover a long-lost species. It must be very close. Maybe, just maybe, it will come toward you. Oh no, the sound. It's moving away, somewhere over there. Go after it. No, too late. It's gone. There is no ringing anymore, just the sound of the streets. Keep your ears peeled then. If the species really has migrated to Martinez, you're sure to hear it again. The file cabinet stands steady as ever, and the unlocked drawer slides out to greet you. Whatever's hidden here is hidden well. Concentration isn't enough. Only a trained accountant with a background in logistics would be able to really make sense of it. However, there is a little handwritten note stuck on the side of the drawer. It appears to be a to-do list written in large, uneven capital letters. Remember, Leo, EVRART's shoes, special whirling borscht, water EVRART's plants, sweep office floor, more banners. All items on the list have been crossed out and the note itself is crumpled.
EVRART Claire, probably. The head of the Debarders Union. Leo must have left it. Nothing incriminating here.
The special borscht seems a bit odd in the list. Remember, Leo, EVRART's shoes, special whirling borscht, water. All items on the list have been crossed out and the note itself is crumpled. The drawer slides shut, smooth.
Sure, mister, absolutely. I'm always willing to help out nice fellows such as yourself. Oh, yes, yes. I leave all kinds of notes for myself. That old head of mine ain't so good at keeping things in no more. I almost forgot about the borscht. Oh, yes. I've been taking special whirling borscht to the men every day since the strike started. It's very, very good. Makes a man feel so warm and happy. I feel like I could take on Mr. Renadan's boar dogs every time the lunch is done. Yes, yes. I'm taking it to them. The borscht keeps them happy and in fighting spirits. Makes you all warm inside. They brew it in the whirling in rags. Oh, the whirling's cook. He makes it. Them is always talking with Mr. Manana in that weird language and laughing together. He doesn't speak what we speak. He's from Grad. Oh, sure, mister. Sure. You do that. Yes, sir.
Before you is a walrus of a man seated behind a large desk. He looks up from his work, not the least bit surprised to see you. With great effort, he straightens himself up in his chair, yet says nothing. He simply stares at you.
Welcome, Mr. Dubois, Mr. Kitsuragi. It's good of you two to stop by. Please, have a seat. I'm EVRART Clare, head of the Debarders Union here in Martinez. I'd offer you my hand, but unfortunately my health prevents me from getting up. You understand?
He looks extremely comfortable. The tiny folding chair, on the other hand, looks like a torture device.
You go ahead, detective.
Whatever he has in store for you, it can't be good, he thinks. I'll do my best. Forget about that. What's with this Dubois stuff? You're getting some seriously bad vibes from that name.
Please, Mr. Dubois, let us converse in a civilized manner, as equals. Take a seat. I insist.
He's trying to throw you off your game with this Dubois nonsense. Don't give him the pleasure.
Very well, Mr. Dubois. I respect a man with strong convictions. I, too, have convictions, one of which is that I will not engage with any man who won't face me at eye level. Should you find yourself more amenable in the future, I'd gladly resume our conversation. But until then, I'm afraid I must ask you to leave.
You're no Titan affiliation, buddy. He's got you in a fork. Sit down or leave.
Excellent, Mr. Dubois. I can see that you're a reasonable man, and reasonable men can be of great use to one another. So tell me, how can the head of the Debarders Union help a representative of the Revachol Citizens Militia today?
The chair you're sitting on has got to be the most uncomfortable chair in the world. It's violating your backside.
Oh, by the way, I heard you got a rather rude reception from a certain Lawrence Gart. Some people have no manners, it pains me to say. This should take care of that nonsense. It should be sufficient to cover your expenses for a few days and patch over your differences with a cafeteria manager. Go ahead, take it.
Wow, that's 25 real. That's good money. You need it.
Yes, I know Lawrence. He's a real character. No union man in him. A real piece of work, that boy is.
With a grin, he points to the checker game. It's like you're on a game show. At least don't thank him for it.
Is there anything you'd like to say to me? Or...
No.
Cool. I wouldn't go that far. I'm sure there are cooler things than delivering a comically oversized novelty check to a cafeteria manager. But, sure, if that's what's cool nowadays. Now, I'd like to set your mind at ease about one other matter. Your lost gun. Let me assure you, Union people are on it as we speak. I've got my best hounds looking for that lost gun.
His slug-like lips move, but all you hear is an echo. Lost gun, lost gun, lost gun. The world is swallowed by a black hole of fear. Only 2 words escape its gravitational pull. Lost and gun. When he said, "Don't worry," he actually meant, be very worried.
I know everything, Harry. Right now, I know that you're worried. Don't be worried. Everything's going to be all right. It's not like you left it loaded. You didn't lose a loaded gun. Local children aren't out there playing with it right now, pointing it into their own mouths. It's in a safe place. I just know it. I have a feeling everything's going to be all right.
God, you're sweating. Your knee is jerking. You're about to cry, aren't you? You're about to cry because you lost your gun and those children are going to shoot themselves with it.
Mr. Dubois, you don't look so good.
What is this, Mr. Dubois? He keeps repeating. What is he trying to pull here? You need to cool the fuck down. Chill.
Mr. Dubois! Mr. Dubois! Harry! Mr. Dubois, are you okay? Can I get you a glass of water or something? Are you having some kind of medical emergency?
Maybe you could use your hands somehow, in a kind of throw-in motion, like you're throwing that Mr. Dubois act right back at him. He's Mr. Dubois.
Don't be dramatic. I can see your condition isn't terminal.
What an odd demonstration of... you got me, Harry. I don't even know what. As entertaining as it was, I'm afraid we're wasting our time. And I'm an extremely busy man, as I'm sure you are too.
Okay, enough. We are here to ask you some questions pertaining to a murder investigation.
Quick, here's your window. Get yourself together and ask him questions. Police officer questions. It is about time to stop embarrassing yourself. Questions will help you regain some of your lost dignity.
You might have noticed there's one hanging on a tree behind the hostel cafeteria.
Oh my. Don't take this question personally, but why would I get involved in this matter?
Mr. Clare, the man was hanged with a cargo belt, a steel-reinforced cargo belt. It's safe to assume the Union had something to do with the murder. Besides, getting the body down would benefit all of us. It's a stain on the neighborhood.
I can certainly see how having him up there might start affecting some real estate values. But of course, all joking aside, I am going to help you. Jean-Luc, my boy, I'm sending 2 police officers down. They have a dead body in a tree problem they need help with. Namely, they need it to be taken down. And, Jean, please take it easy with the race signs. He's had enough of that. You can find Jean-Luc down at the gates, but you already knew that. Anyway, he's going to help you. Of course, let us dispatch with the formalities. You call me EVRART, I call you Harry. My God, so it's true. I didn't want to believe it, but you are a fantastic science fiction amnesiac cop, aren't you? What are the odds of that?
I think the odds of that are very low.
It might be a good idea to hide your confusion. I mean, see what his game is first.
So good to hear that, Harry. Apparently my sources were wrong. However, if you did have a spot of memory trouble, I could help you out. With my big fat folder.
Words flow like a river of honey from his lips. I guess word has already reached him. No matter. No harm done.
Are you trying to tell me you've gotten hold of some of our documents?
Mr. Kitsuragi, would you mind? Me and Harry are talking about his lost identity right now.
Don't just jump to the folder. That's not smart. Shows you're on the edge. Do some probing first.
Ah, this? My friends in your organization gave it to me, Harry.
This translates into, haha, you guys are so corrupt.
I find that very suspicious. May I have a look?
I'm afraid this is meant for Union eyes only, Mr. Kitsuragi. I'm sure you understand. Please continue, Harry. Well, Harry, if I were to sum you up in one word, it would be apologetic. Well, you sure come off as very confident in all our interactions, Harry. You're a real man's man.
As you look at the folder, EVRART covers it with his hand and pets it. He's hiding it from you because it's not a real RCM folder. It's just another one of those brown folders you saw in the file cabinet.
Okay, Harry, you got me. This is from the Census Bureau, not the RCM. Those Census Bureau people are absolutely corrupt. You should do something about them.
He got the name from the Census Bureau, and everything else from your actions here in Martinez.
Yes, Mr. Kitsuragi from the Census Bureau. Like I said, now I'm actually a very busy man. So is there anything else I can do for you, Harry?
That means he doesn't really know anything about you. A pity. The mystery of you will have to remain a mystery for the time being.
Yes, that's what I said. Try to keep up, okay? Let's move on. Oh, of course. That's your main thing here. That's why you're in Martinez. I know everything that goes on around here, and I would love to help you, like I'm helping you with the body. I mean, it's no secret that the lynching is connected to the strike. So much to talk about. Honestly, it's been weighing on me so heavily. I understand you need to interview me. But there's a thing that's been keeping me up at night. I want to talk about the hanging. I mean, if we could just calmly talk, exchange information, we could blow this thing wide open.
Yes, that sounds good. Let's do that.
But I can't think straight with this thing weighing on me. You're police officers, aren't you? I have a crazy idea. You guys are basically door-opening machines, incredibly talented at opening doors. Oh, you're being too modest, my friend. But don't worry. This annoying thing I have is completely legal. I just need you to open a door.
An excellent opportunity presents itself, sire. You could win the trust of the arch-liar, pretend to play into his hand. Then, should you wish, bend his efforts towards your own.
Oh, no one's. It's just a weasel. A weasel lives there. Nothing for you to worry about. A loud blabbering weasel. When weasels feel no one is watching, they start acting foolishly. Just go there, unlock the door, and leave it open. It's been such a burden on me, Harry. I just want this to be over so I can discuss business with you. Fantastic, my friend. Just let me know when it's done and we can take our friendship to the next level. You can get the key from Manana. He's down by the gates. Manana's like a free agent in the Union. Special operations. Hardened socialist. A real free thinker, too. He'll tell you precisely where the door is. One last thing, Harry. Just open the door. You don't need to go in or anything. I just want that weasel to come home and see the unlocked door. Yes, your lost gun. My best men are on it. They're turning every stone, searching every playground, asking kids, grandmas, everyone. Your gun will be found, Harry. Let me assure you of that. It's just a matter of time and effort.
The only way to find it seems to be working with him. He might even be holding your gun hostage. Who knows? Only one thing is certain. If you work with him, you're going to get it back, and working with him might be the only way to do it.
Yes, thank you for the hot tip regarding your lost gun, Harry. My men have indeed factored in that you pawned it. Now please, let the professionals do their job. Kick back, Harry, relax. I have great guys on this. You focus on what's important, building our relationship for the good of Martinez.
It did not come as a surprise to him. He might actually not be bullshitting.
Damn it, Harry. That's exactly what it means. I'm only kidding, of course.
Of course. I understand. We help you, you help us.
My dear Harry, there are literally millions of containers in this harbor. I couldn't possibly remember what's in all of them. Harry, you smooth-talking son of a bitch. Time is a precious resource, and I don't have enough of it to count containers with you.
Smooth talking. Maybe that's the way to go about opening the container. You should at least try convincing it.
Wait. You need this to get in and out through the gate. Here, you're one of us now. A real red and white Union man. Take care, Harry.
The unpromising race pupil returns. I am not the first line of defense. I am the last. In addition, these so-called hardy boys are an effeminate clique of bodybuilders. Their company is spiritually degrading.
You pick up on something artificial in his tone, like he's putting on an act. This is unlike him. He is usually more himself.
Fine. They have recently fallen under the influence of a possibly sexually perverted female vagrant and a narcotics peddler. It's shameful. Find out for yourself, endomorphic blob.
Interesting.
So it was. My unpromising race pupil entered the harbor and used my superior to give me orders. I salute your cunning and will remove the body from the tree with my bare hands.
You're so noble, Measurehead.
There's a but.
But while I am gone, someone must stand guard on the bridge. That someone needs to be you. Both of you.
That would mean you're openly showing the people that you're taking the Union's side.
This is the uncomfortable result of not taking it on ourselves. I can live with a compromise.
Listen to your little friend. He is wise in his childlike way. His mysterious race may yet prove fierce competition to my heroic haplogroup. Yes, that is precisely what it means, homunculus. This is not going to happen any other way. Babe, see that they stay here the whole time.
woman's gaze follows Measurehead as he leaves.
So, you guys are like cops or something? Cool, I like men with guns and power. I'm Katya, by the way.
You hear that? That sound. He's breaking something.
Yeah, Jean-Luc must be really tearing it up over there. I wish I could see it.
Look at you! RCM rent-a-cops! Guarding that bridge like EVRART's lapdogs! Is this where it's at now? The RCM is for sale!
And who are you? What is your business here? Why are your clothes 4 sizes too small for you?
A shrill laughter interrupts you, echoing across Martinez. It's Kuno. Then, the man turns to look behind him at the behemoth appearing around the corner, approaching him, walking past him.
The corpse has been removed from the tree. Stand down and congratulate yourself. You have sided with Ray's victory today. And what you had to do was to become a Union man for all to see.
So, how'd you like our harbor?
You've been in there, he means. Talked to the boss man too, probably.
It's but a rest area on the path leading across open plains. Right, you talk to the boss, eye to eye, like men of the plain. If you have any more questions, I'm set to talk. The mercenary, eh? Who could have killed him? That's indeed the question. Why even do such a thing? What a thought! Why would noble workers resort to such a thing? Unless they were pushed, of course. Your dead guy was an enemy combatant. He was an agent of the opposition, attempting to undermine our honorable efforts. I ain't the murdering type, but that's just me. Large organizations like our union have all sorts of men, with all sorts of skills.
He's not lying about not doing it himself.
Understood. This has been of limited use. Still, thank you.
No problem. I wish the best to you in your search. Sure, I'm glad it's not my search. A key, huh? What door is this key supposed to open? Of course, I got you. You don't know anything. I got that key right here. And let me tell you, it's mighty good of you to help us out during the strike. Working class solidarity, as they say. Oh, so the none of the above type, are you? I get it, I get it. I like to keep my distance too. But it doesn't matter. It's a good thing you're doing. Thanks. What you're looking for is a basement door behind the greenhouse. That's behind the whirling in rags. That's all I know. Our organization is what you call compartmentalized. Means we keep out of each other's business.
Okay, but where did you get the key from?
The janitor gave it to me. Nice fella. We talked about life and things that really, truly matter. None of this mess we're in, this jiving and juggling. What's it for? To feed our children, I guess. I'm more of a philosophical dock worker. I like to talk about the big picture stuff. Who I am, who you are, what we are fighting for.
He means he's not going to tell you cause he doesn't know. But he will shoot his mouth off with you now that you're working for EVRART. Who he is and what they're fighting for? This is interesting.
We're negotiating our share. Aye. All of it. However, right now we want all the harbor workers to be on the company's board, so they could take part in the decision-making process.
This seditious talk sounds like communism. Just so we're on the same page, communism is basically wanting to kill the rich people or deporting them to a labor camp in southeast Grad. But don't say that out loud if you're a communist.
I think it's best you make up your own mind now that you've met him. In my eyes, he is a capable organizer and a decent businessman. I guess you kind of get to be the village chief. He oversees the harbor, makes deals with the owners or other relevant parties, watches out for his own.
By that, you mean corruption?
By heavens, why would he not be corrupt? We live in a harsh and disordered world, see? And in this world, the old man is corrupt for our benefit, and we know it. Appreciate it even. He is, personally, not too lavish. He is reasonably lavish, sure. That's his prerogative. It's not like you want a saintly demeanor on a corrupt motherfucker. That would be a manipulative illusion. Besides, there are no non-corrupt systems in the world anyway, and moralism is the most corrupt of them all.
Not you would like to say. But then there's that weasel door. This man has political theory, and it has not failed him today.
No. I don't think I'm a communist. Seeing something of value and saying I want it all to myself is a much older and simpler notion. No science to it at all. Even a weak child can think it. The only things holding someone back are I can't and I shouldn't. A none of the above kind of man. No harm in being that. Sure, I've had the necessary free time. Fortunately, there's always time.
The look in his brown eyes conjures up an understanding. For him, having command of his time is the most important thing. It all comes together now. The way he speaks about scabs, his general attitude. He's a follower of a 500-year-old Franco-Nigerian Boyadero code, itself an appropriation of Vespertine cool. That of a noble peasant or a traveling herdsman. True to yourself, independent in your actions, loyal to your friends. No. The man sits on the railing, his hands reaching far and wide, yet it feels as if he could effortlessly go even wider, if need be, an endless torrent of time. What's this? We're getting reports of normal, reasonable, temperate, political opinions somewhere in Martinez. The air suddenly feels calmer, more transparent in a strangely tender way. Perhaps it's the hangover. Perhaps it's a temporary surge of serotonin. But something tells you it's time to become a citizen of the kingdom of conscience. It is not a place. It is a moment in time that can only arise in the right circumstances. In all of human history, it's only been achieved a handful of times. Incrementally. History's greatest catastrophes have been brought about by people trying to make the world a better place. Too quickly. That's the genius of Dolores Day. She recognized that progress is meaningless if its gains are lost because of instability. Real, lasting change can only come about gradually, increment by increment. Tisk tisk, just because you live in the present doesn't mean you have the right to place your needs above the needs of the future. You may never live to see the kingdom of conscience. Your children may not. Even your grandchildren might not. But that's no excuse not to keep working. What rationality? Do you believe the status quo is preferable to chaos and bloodshed? There you have it. Sometimes holding the line is progress. The kingdom is difficult to comprehend and even more difficult to describe. partly because humanity will need to discard many of the categories that define and limit it today. The kingdom of conscience is post-capitalist, post-national. It's also post-industrial, post-ideological, and even post-sexual. Slow down, Mr. Reasonable. Did you miss the part about compromising and taking things slow? That's right. Remember, real democracy is just around the corner for Revachol. When that real democracy kicks in, a long time from now, we are all going to be so much happier.